Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another full episode of Crave. This is Kenya Moore.
This is Yaya Khalifa.
And this is your girl, She's Brazen. Rain the Gemini will not be joining us today. We look forward to her return.
Today's episode is going to be about toxic traits and red flags. I feel sometimes they interchange sometimes in some part.
Maybe.
Some of them.
Red flags are definitely subjective, whereas toxic traits can be stem from trauma, life, things you experience as a child. No, seriously,
Yeah.
I can find somebody who sniffles too much as a red flag. Like, no, I can't deal with that.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
So
definitely
they're
a red
subjective.
flag.
Red flags are subjective, whereas there are definitions of trauma and toxicity, like science behind it, all of that. So, but go ahead.
So I'm going to start off with a quote like I like to do.
Like, everybody, here you go.
Once we recognize what it is we are feeling, once we recognize we can feel deeply, love deeply, can feel joy, then we will demand that all parts of our lives produce that kind of joy. That's from Andre Lordy. What do you guys think about red flags for you guys in
My
relationships?
own personal red flags, or what it would be, like, what I would consider a red flag to be.
Isn't that the same thing?
Like, I'm talking about the red flags that I would, like, give off about my issues. You're talking about,
What do you consider a red flag in a friendship and a romantic?
okay.
To
And
where
I-
you're like, you know what? This is not going to work for me.
For me, somebody that is, like, that falls off the map.
Ghosting, red flag.
Ghosting is a red flag, yeah. Someone that just doesn't like return your call if they say they're gonna, like, oh, I'm gonna call you back, and they just like don't. They can only talk to you at like a certain time, whenever they're at work or not at their house if you can't come to their house. Somebody that can't manage their money very well. It's a lot. There's so many, I think, because these things could be very telling for what like could potentially come up later on down the road, right? Is this person keeping you as a secret, and like having a double life? And then these little things that were, you can look back on and be like, oh, well, that was a red flag. I never could go to his house. Bitch.
He said his mama's always there.
Right. That's a red flag, sis.
Frequent lying.
Yeah.
How do you know that initially though? Like
don't.
that's something that is
It
learned
builds,
after building a
right?
relationship, but also that's duality. Frequent lying is toxic
talked
as
about
well.
that.
Yeah. So that does operate in both spaces.
In both spaces.
Yeah.
Or about like, what do you think about when people, for me, like, you know how they say, like stonewalling, shame blaming, not taking accountability for what they've done. I feel sometimes those can go.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
For sure, duality.
It's definitely going to be an issue. In the front, if it's a red flag at the beginning with those things, that's going to be present the whole entire.
And I think that's the thing is like if it's a red flag, it's only going to become toxic later. So if you ignore those red flags, you're asking to end up in a toxic relationship.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Are you able to overlook some of them and say, I'll just dig deeper and talk
No, I mean, before, we ain't doing that shit no more.
It's not necessary now, not in the stage of life that we're in, because we've already done that. You know what I mean? At some point, you've
Been
already
there,
compromised.
done it, can write a fucking book about it.
Right.
Gotta
And
share.
there's just no need to continue to do stuff like that. Not unless you're okay with signing up for some fuck shit.
to, say that again? You said that with your chest.
I did.
And she did.
And I meant it.
Yeah, we not doing that anymore. And you know, I think that we all can attest to that. We've been, first of all, Black women women in general, but I'm speaking specifically to Black women. We are not fucking healers,
Yes.
saviors. We can't save the world.
Dun-dun-dun-dun. No,
Sometimes
thank
you just got to lift it up to whoever it is that you lifting it up to. I don't the creator, God, Allah,
Buddha.
Buddha, Muhammad Ali. I don't know.
Just lift it up.
And let that shit go. Like, yeah, we can't save everybody. And that I believe for me is a toxic trait of mine. A toxic trait that I'm healing from and learning to like, oh, I want to I
But-
can't
I wanna catch
Generationally, I
you.
think that is a toxic trait for Black women. We have a tendency to try to heal the people that we're in relationships with or the people around us, and we don't put our own mask on first.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a learned behavior in the sense that our ancestors who were slaves didn't have that power. Like they just had to watch. That's all they had the power to do was watch. They got to watch their babies be fed to the gators. They got to watch their men be hung and lynched. They got to watch them be burned at stakes and sent to the gauntlet.
Castrated.
And there was nothing. So I think it's something we learned along the way. Is like we couldn't do anything before, but God damn it if I ain't gonna do something now. But it's just only to our detriment because we don't have the checks and balances in place to stop and realize we're suffocating and killing ourselves trying to save everybody else.
Right.
Like it's for sure a toxic trait of mine that I'm just like, yeah, sis, we can't do that no more.
You gotta take your hand off the steering wheel sometimes.
Now,
You have to take your hands off the steering wheel
I
sometimes.
will pull the car over and let somebody else drive. I'm not just gonna take my hand off the
Jesus,
steering wheel.
take the wheel.
Jesus ain't showed up to take no wheel from me yet. So, nah, I'll pull over.
Put the hazard lights on.
Listen, you
But
see
then
these
do
lights?
what? You know what I'm saying? Once you're pulled over, the hazard lights are on, and you're sitting there, do what?
What are you doing if you let go of the wheel while
But
you're
one
driving?
moment. Answer my question first.
If I have to sit there until somebody come and rescue
Okay,
me,
that's where I was getting to. Are you going to sit there to regain energy to do the shit all over again? Or are you going to allow for someone at some point you're removing your hands from the steering wheel? The
Okay.
car does not have to be operational
oh,
as that's
okay.
happening.
Well, I'm gonna need you to finish that next time. That's what I'm gonna need you to do.
Oh, sweet mercy alive.
So by definition, go ahead.
No, go.
So by definition, I looked up several of them. Psych Central, WebMD, The Guardian. Well, The Guardian had a really great article on toxic traits. By definition, it says that a toxic person is anyone whose behavior adds negativity and upset to your life. Many times, people who are toxic are dealing with their own stresses and traumas.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes, you know how I know I have that as a toxic trait to save and to help to the point where I'm without
You're
for
depleted.
myself. Yes, I'm depleted. But I feel like sometimes we attract where we are. So if we need healing, we may attract someone who needs healing as well.
That's broken in that way as well.
So that's why I feel so.
Well, we talked about that in a previous
We
episode.
did.
It's called trauma bonding.
And there were, I looked up, there was a study, was it 2016, from the University of Michigan, and they researched that where being in toxic situations, relationships, can give you blood pressure, increasing chronic stress, immune system, and promotes inflammation in your body. And it has links between social relationships and mortality.
Yep.
So it's deep
Yeah.
to where you have to recognize a toxic trait and try to get out of it if you can. That makes
A
sense.
toxic situation.
Right.
And try to do something. Although I think that I believe that two people in a toxic relationship can acknowledge what's going on and say, hey, we do, care for each other. We want to back out of this and look at it differently. We still want to maintain the relationship. I'm going to work on my stuff, you work on your stuff, and together we'll work on our stuff. I think that's possible.
And I think that's great when both people are aware about it. But I think, like, let's say for my situation where my I didn't know I was in a toxic situation because it came slowly in terms of being away from my friends, being away from my family. The emotional, mental part was done to the point where I didn't know who I was. So that's a toxic where it's gradual.
Yeah.
They control you gradually to the point where you just don't recognize yourself in the mirror.
After leaving whatever situation you're speaking of in this moment, what did you learn about that person? Like what caused them to be and behave in the way that were behaving?
For them, I think it was abandonment
Issues?
from their father. And so I was just theirs. And I couldn't be anybody else's. Nobody's friend, nobody's
Been
daughter,
there.
nobody's just right there. That's what I learned later, which also brought on controlling issues on them, on their end. And that's just one situation. And for me, I have to look at it and say, because of how I grew up in the family unit that I grew up in, I just want to keep trying. Well, maybe if I do this, it's going to work. Maybe if I do that, it's going to work. If I forgive this, or, oh, they may change. No, they don't change.
Yeah, you had to learn that. You had to learn that. That was a lesson that you needed to learn. But once you learned it, there's no need to relive that same type of relationship. When you see it, because you'll be able to see it from a mile away, you'll know what that tingling feels like. You'll be able to associate it with something and be like, nah, because in this last situation, when these types of things were going on, this is what it led to. And I don't want to sign up for the where it's going part.
Right. And that didn't happen.
And I don't know if it, because that, I had really hadn't heard that before, and you know what my situation was, literally abandonment issues, controlling issues. You can't have friends. Don't go to the store for too long. Don't go to brunch. Don't go.
Just
because
don't.
if you go, you're abandoning me. And it had nothing to do with me. And there's nothing that I could have done to change that unhealed child part in this other person. That's a journey that they were going to have to take on their own. So the only thing that was going to happen was me compromising and bending and molding and folding into a box that wasn't intended for me to fit in.
It took me 2 times.
Oh, it took me a long times.
No, when I say 2 times, it took two relationships.
Yeah, it just
Where the
took-
second relationship was worse than the first one. Because this one became physical.
Okay.
And
Which this one, the first one or the second one?
the second one became physical. The first one was emotional and mental. The second one was emotional, mental, and physical.
But now you know that you know.
But now, yeah.
So the next,
So you know that you know?
she knows.
I
And now we
know-
know that she
I'm
You can't speak for her.
She just said she knew.
Now,
So I'm reiterating the question
Oh,
that she
okay.
said that
We
she
re-
knows.
we
she
repeat the
know.
question. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you. So you know that you know.
I know that I know when it's toxic for my mental, my emotional, and that it's about to be physical.
Okay.
Does that make sense? No? That face looked like it
I,
says no.
I'm gonna let it lie. That's what I'm gonna do. We can talk off air about it. I want to challenge y'all thinking it for a little bit. The Guardian had a really good article. Was written into 26 July 2021. And it says, like many colloquial terms characterizing psychological phenomena, toxicity is unspecific. Toxic people are bullies or victims, overly involved or overly removed, too negative or too positive. While seductive, this kind of blanket labeling comes with a lot of problems. The entire premise is based on dubious science and elicits unhelpful and fatalistic behavior from people on both sides of the conflict. The conversational idea of a toxic person can be traced to clinical category personality disorders. A nebulous set of diagnoses defined by supposedly lifelong, unchanging interpersonal dysfunction. Personality pathology, though treated as legitimate in mainstream discourse, is hotly debated even by actual clinicians. So, what this is saying is that people have toxic traits, but they're not toxic people. And to label someone as toxic. is toxic. Like, it gave an example, and Rain the Gemini actually answered a question on this a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. It says, for example, narcissistic personality disorder is so contested that it was almost removed from the 2013 edition of Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the official psychiatric disorders reference for the United States. Like, they debated it so heavily that they almost removed narcissistic personality disorder from the whole reference book.
Wow.
So to blanket label someone as toxic is toxic in and of itself.
Because they may have toxic traits, but they're not toxic.
Because you're dismissing their own traumas,
right,
and their own mental abilities or disabilities. It's somewhat ableist in doing that.
Because it goes back to like what you're saying, where in everything there's a root.
For sure.
Right.
For sure. I think
so if you blanket, you're taking away that root of why.
Exactly. So there's no compassion, and there's no consideration for their own life trauma. It's just, you toxic.
I'm out.
I don't want to deal with you. Right. Because it even go on to say the research is just that even difficult personality styles can change over time, rather being fixed and immovable. So if somebody isn't changing for you, they just simply don't want to. You're not the person they want to change for.
Yeah.
But everybody can change. All behavior is changeable. We know that as, people who have children. Sometimes you have to use the art of manipulation to get a behavior to change. And sometimes it's just something they grow out of. But when you're talking about trauma and mental abilities or disabilities and disorders, like to blanket label people as toxic, that's toxic in and of itself. So how do you move past you toxic? I think number one thing we have to do is our research before you just jump into relationships with people. I can guarantee none of us did that in these prior relationships.
Nah.
But to answer your
Have
question,
not.
For me, it's not about it's not so much solidified in the fact that they have these toxic traits. It's the acknowledgement of them, where they come from, and the fact that they may want to work on those things. If you're willing to work on your abandonment issues and the fact that you have a problem when someone leaves the house, like, let's sit down and have a conversation about the fact that that actually hurts you, that is creating some type of physical feeling in you. Your stomach might hurt, your chest might hurt, where your heart is, whatever the case may be. You're actually having this physical reaction to me leaving the house, instead of you, in
Lashing
some cases, physically lashing out or verbally lashing out. We can't have that discussion now because you're not creating space,
A safe space.
a safe space to have a conversation. And
Right.
there's nothing on this end or on my end that I can do for someone that does not want to address those things. If you want to address those things and meet me halfway,
We can talk about it.
I'm in it just as much as you're in it, because I want to see your healing as a human, because you're deserving of it simply because you're a human. I want to see you heal just as much as I want to heal in areas of my own life. That's the reason why I would say that would be the deciding factor on whether or not I would continue in that ship in whatever capacity that would be in.
And that's beautiful, but has that always been the case? Is this a new something, or is this something that you've always been able to let's sit down and talk about it?
No, because I've gone through my own learning. I've gone through my own growing.
Exactly.
And healing.
So that's a beautiful space to be in now, right? And that's wonderful. But also, I don't think we're in these stages of our lives. We're not jumping into relationships that would require many of those conversations. Like, the moment I see a red flag, we can talk about the red flags. But again, like you said, if there's no accountability to the red flag, that's only going to turn toxic. So going backwards and talking to previous relationships, I mean, it's not going to solve anything. We know what to do now moving forward, and also how to practice compassion. Because if you know that your previous partner had abandonment issues, and you know all of your previous partner's stuff, at what point does compassion kick in? And it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Because also I think I have to look at it where not to try to fix someone. I also recognize that where are they in their stage of life? Are they in a stage where they're open to heal, open to learn?
Hurt people ain't trying to hear nothing you got to say, right?
That's true.
So then you need to make a decision,
Right.
from the gap,
Right.
on whether or not you're signing up to be a part of a situation with somebody that is not trying to
Hurt people is always, they're always feel attacked. You're attacking their character. You're coming for their person. Like, there's just, so it has, I believe you have to wait till they're in a space where they're not hurting as much. You can't force healing on anybody either. They have to want to do that
you can't
on their
force
own.
healing, but I'm speaking in terms of where if you're in conversation with that person and they're in a good space can you bring up, hey, well, have you thought about going to therapy or looking into what's the root cause of why you are? Or are you just like, nah, that's it?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking both of you.
Oh, because time I have compassion.
No.
I'll
You
choose
choose
peace.
peace. That's what that is.
Yeah, I'll choose peace. That's exactly what it is.
Peace. I told my mom I was talking to her about something, and just out of my spirit jumped peace over everything. Over everything. And whenever you prioritize that first, you can choose peace and compassion and still deal with somebody, but it is not going to be in the capacity that they may want you to be dealing with them.
And it is not my job to be concerned about what they
that
want.
part.
It is not. What they want, they need to find how to get it.
Because
they
I had
ain't
to
getting
go
it from me.
I had to go find it.
Yes,
and get it.
absolutely. Because you weren't giving it to me, so I had to go elsewhere to find it. And even if that elsewhere was inside myself.
Absolutely.
Preach, girl. Where the
Come
snaps?
on now.
Girl, and told the whole
Listen.
truth and nothing
Right.
but the truth.
So none of us should be concerned about, if I'm dealing with you in peace and compassion, and if you take anything I say wayward or I'm being any type of way, you have work to do. Just like I have my own set of things I need to do and things I need to heal from. There was also an article in Healthline, January 11th, 2022, and it listed 9 signs that a relationship can be fixed. Like 9 signs
That it
that a
can?
toxic relationship can, CAN, be fixed.
That's interesting. Can you? Yeah. Can you?
I will. It says all parties. So I'm like, when they say all parties, so I was like sons, daughters, mamas, friends, accepts responsibility. They have a willingness to invest, shift from blaming to understanding. And when I tell you, that hit my gut so hard, because we like to play the victim.
You are not. You're not a victim.
You're not. If you are in this relationship, you entered this relationship willingly. Whether it's lack of information, lack of research. Women, we make some of the best detectives in the world. Ain't nothing catching us by surprise. Moving on. Openness to outside help, therapy. Don't dwell on the past. View your partner with compassion. And when it says partner, I'm talking my friendship
other person,
partner,
yeah.
All the shit.
yeah, all the partners. Find support. Practice healthy communication. Be accountable.
Be accountable.
Right, exactly.
3 words.
All them syllables. Heal individually, like that hit me hard too. And hold space for the other's change. Meaning, we know that change is a slow progression.
Right.
Nothing happens overnight.
Nothing.
Nobody just wakes up one day and be like, oh, I'm a new person.
I wish.
I was dipped in the water and now I'm changed.
Now,
Last
I am
night,
changed.
I was toxic AF. Today I'm not no more.
And I'm healed.
And I am
Right. Yeah. So, and I was just like, wow. And I was like, I got a lot of work to do.
Right.
A lot.
That's you being
Accountable. Accountable.
four syllables.
Yes.
Yeah. For sure. That was a really that's something that maybe 6-7 years ago, 10 years ago would have been, cause enough to like sit down and read and like work on the situation that I was in that could have potentially helped save that. I operate a lot now in a space of understanding, in a space of acceptance. I know that this is where they're at, and I really work on remaining in, like, I know that there's unhealed things that, need to be addressed. However, that doesn't mean that I'm a stepping stool, and acknowledging that you are hurt or the things that I have done may have hurt you. That doesn't mean that you're allowed to shit on me. So even in this space of broken upness, I don't have to deal.
That's a new word.
That's a new one. Every episode we have a new word.
Oh my.
Oh yeah, we have to go through and see what new words
We done created.
this season.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Even
my.
in this space, I have to put our interactions in a certain place. Like, I'm not gonna allow your stuff to bleed off onto me. And that's something that is just a constant. Like, it's a constant. You can work with somebody that wants to work. It takes two people in any type of ship
To tango.
It
Yeah.
does.
At the dance.
To dance,
You look crazy tangoing by yourself.
to go down the sea.
I mean, I can make it look sexy, but
I know you can't, because I saw you dancing when we was in DC.
look crazy.
Like, okay, friend, pop it, bust it.
She still have those knees.
She do. She swears her knees be something.
I'm trying to tell you. I be looking at Megan Thee Stallion and just be jealous.
I don't know what's
Moving
going
on. I'm moving right along. So on, what was the episode we did? We did the, like, put a finger down.
Oh, with
Lies.
Little White Lies.
Little White
Little
Lies.
Lies.
Yes. Okay. So now we're going to put a finger down.
So 10 fingers.
Oh, are we doing
toes
10 or
up.
5?
I think it's 9 on this one.
Okay, so 9 fingers. I got
9
fingers.
signs that you're a toxic person.
Lord.
Jesus.
I'm going to read the statement.
I'm nervous.
And
Hold on
then
real
you
quick.
have to verbally confirm whether you're putting a finger down or leaving it up. Go ahead.
Okay.
Real quick, before we do this, do you think you're toxic?
I know I have some toxic traits. Yeah.
Okay, do you think you're
Yes, I
toxic?
have toxic traits. Uh-huh.
That's toxic.
Okay, so
That's
again,
toxic.
you have to verbally confirm, finger up or finger down.
Okay.
Because they can't see us.
Okay, yes.
They only listening.
Yep.
All right, 9 signs that you're a toxic person. I pulled this list from mindbodygreen.com.
Why we so
My hands are
nervous?
sweating.
My hands and my underarms are sweating. Is that toxic? You know why? Because you're toxic.
Yeah, y'all.
Do we even need to do it again?
Yep.
I want to do it. I want to do
We're
it.
gonna do it. All right. You're always sarcastic.
Nope, I'm not putting a finger down.
I'm not always sarcastic,
I'm
but
sarcastic.
I am sarcastic
I
sometimes.
know I have a slick mouth.
Do you?
Yes.
I'm gonna leave my finger up for that one.
Okay.
You deal with conflict in a roundabout way.
Putting my finger down.
Put my finger down.
Okay. Everything is a competition. Not putting my finger down.
Not
Not.
putting my finger down.
You turn everything into a joke. Not putting my
Not
finger
putting
down.
my finger down.
You want to fix everyone and everything.
I'm just gonna
Put
go
in my
ahead.
finger.
Half a finger. Can I do half a finger?
No. You did not.
Finger down.
You secretly crave disaster because of the care you receive from it. I'm not putting
No,
my
I'm
finger
not
down.
putting a finger down for that.
You think pointing out someone's flaws will help them change. Putting
I'm
my
gonna put
finger
my
down.
finger down. My finger down.
You tell everyone to just change their mindset. No,
No.
not doing that. You push your truth on others. Not putting my finger down. So I got 2.
I've got 6 fingers up.
I still have 7.
I have 7.
So we have some toxic traits, but
Yes.
according to this, we're not toxic
good.
people.
Oh, okay.
Oh, girl, because I was, like I said, I'm still a G.
For girls.
She really want to be
Anyway.
gullible. She not. Man,
Whatever.
show her a commercial. She gonna cry.
Whatever.
Baby,
Shut up. Let me see.
first of all,
Wait,
we
no,
don't
let
use
me
that word in my house. We say rest your mouth.
Okay, well, rest the top lip against the bottom lip. So she I called her the other day when I was very emotional. I received a card from her with your name and a handful of other names in it to assist with some issues that I'm having. I wasn't expecting it and had really just told the universe that I was going to remove my hand from the steering wheel and acknowledge that I needed the help. Was going to allow that to happen in whatever way it happened. So I opened the card as I'm sitting on the phone with my mom in the parking lot and like gasp and immediately start crying. But the thing is, y'all sit up telling me I'm not a G, but that would make anybody cry. You know what I'm saying? Like there's
She picked one situation.
all of the situations where I've cried have been like
stop.
emotional, like actual situations. Anyway,
Not
and she
taking
automatically,
accountability.
Not taking
toxic.
accountability.
but let me tell you, she automatically like, who did it? Who wanted me? I'm on the way out the door right now, put my shoes on.
Listen,
Baby, she was
brazen, don't play.
I answered. Hold on,
and I'm on the phone.
I was like, hello? She was like, I'm already at the door. I'm already at the door. Got the Glock on top. Erica Badu voice. Danger.
Brazen, don't play.
No, she don't.
Yeah,
I learned that.
Well, show up. I'm not. No.
I was in Chicago. She was about to jump on a flight.
On the flight. That ain't a thing. Where you at? Who did it?
I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
Ooh, my shot.
During every full-length episode, we make it a point to highlight a Black-owned business free of charge. This is just one of the ways that the ladies of Crave have chosen to give back as we make an effort to generate Black dollars and keep them in the Black community.
Today's Black-owned business is going to be on Sunshine's Vegetarian Deli and Health Food Store in Houston, Texas. Sunshine's is a family-owned vegetarian deli. They carry small amounts of herbs, black soaps, fresh squeezed juices. Their goal is to introduce people to healthy lifestyle. Their foods range from raw salads, various burgers, soups, smoothies, and juices. The atmosphere is very relaxed and casual. They're located at 3102 Old Spanish Trail, Houston, Texas. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram. Their website is www.sunshinecks.com. So go check them out. Sunshine's Vegetarian Deli and Health Food Store in Houston, Texas. Okay, so for red flags in your friendship, romantic relationships, for me, I look at how you are in terms of, let's say, the tendency to run away from a conversation sometimes, right? How you treat people. When I say people, how do you treat a homeless person when we're walking down the street together? I'll look at stuff like that for myself. Any relationship, all the ships. I look at when it comes to how sometimes people can be rude to others. in
You
public.
rude to wait staff. I can't even rock
Right.
with you.
It
How you gonna be rude to somebody who bringing you food?
Stupid.
I don't even understand.
The
Bruh.
dumb diddy.
not showing up when I need you. You don't care about feelings. Not even my own feelings, even other people's feelings. I guess that still goes back to how you treat other people. That's really, I get really big for me. There's some things when it comes to red flags. Sometimes I don't see some red flags, and my friends will see red flags that I don't see.
Because
and
you're
point them
blinded
out.
by the whatever.
The
might
honeymoon
be.
phase of whatever that is.
So, what are you guys? Some of your red flags that you see in all the ships?
Again, for me, duality exists, right? So, friendships, relationships, family, employer, the red flags pretty much are the same across the board. The exception with a romantic relationship is there is, it might be intimacy or sex involved. So then there's going to be red flags on that side. Like, you can't last longer than 2 minutes. Red flag.
Oh, red flag.
I can't.
Red flag.
You don't eat.
I'm just,
Flag on the play.
I don't, it don't matter about no eating, skeeting, sleeting. If you can't last longer than 2 minutes, it's a
I'm saying
red
that's
flag for me.
also a red flag for me.
Oh, for sure.
Like if you don't want to do any foreplay, like none, and
If you consider a foreplay to be like, I'm gonna rub your breast and
No.
give you a massage,
No.
red flag.
She over here. No.
I
I
can't.
mean, she may tingle from
Nope.
a good deep
Let me
massage,
tell you what,
but
she ain't gonna.
everything
She
else,
just ain't gonna even work.
she gonna
That's
say
just
not
what's
today.
gonna happen. No, she just ain't. She gonna reach down there. And
She gonna bite you back.
rubber. You like skirt, like like when a car like stops suddenly and like that's what's gonna happen. Like, yeah. That's all that is.
Another thing I wanted to add is that sometimes these toxic traits, you could think that it's like a cute thing, like, oh, that's cute, but later on, those things can be turned against you. Mm-hmm. Like he's
Oh
concerned.
my gosh, yes. Go ahead, I'm agreeing.
Or, he's just very crafty and finding out information. No, bitch, he's a stalker. He's a stalker, sis. He stalks people. And fun and games.
Ooh, he's such an investigator.
Yeah, he's really, really resourceful. But then find out a little later.
You getting videos in your phone, like, so what was you doing here?
Right.
I thought you said you was gonna be here.
But I also thought you told me you was in Mexico. So I don't know how it is that you 3 cars behind me.
Red flag.
That's a red flag. And
Red
I'm
flag on the
honestly,
play.
God bless my young heart. I thought it was cute. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, he like
Wow.
He
Red
just
flag
really
and
is
toxic.
concerned about where I
my
am.
safety.
Not at all. But I know that now.
Yeah, now.
So now, whenever I smell that in the horizon, I don't go in that direction.
Smell it like it's like when they say
That aroma.
outside has a smell.
Yes, it does.
So you smell it like
I do.
outside.
If that is an ingredient in the pie, I'm not eating it.
I do. Red flag is if I meet a man and refers to himself as an alpha male.
Oh,
Nope. Red flag. Red flag on the play.
You do not have to even.
That's gonna show in your behavior. It's not something you need to announce.
Right.
You don't need to announce your arrival. I see you coming.
oh, I can see you coming from a mile away. I sniff you in the air. I can watch the way you walk,
Girl.
the way you speak, the way you interact with other men, the way you interact with women in my presence, the way you
How we
manage
interact.
things, the way I feel whenever I'm in your presence.
Right.
You don't,
You don't
ever
have
have
to-
to speak on that.
Well,
Right.
you walk in a room.
I smell
Right.
you.
Yes, Lord.
Don't talk to me if you can't take a joke. Red flag. That means you just like being fucking rude. You like being rude, ho. So be sure that you can take the jokes back. It's one of my red flags too. I give back. I give. I match
can feel
energy.
that. I see that. See, you just like being rude, ho.
Yeah. So anyway, I think duality exists in all that as well, or more than duality, it's trifecta, whatever. Because red flags, again, there's employers I will not work for. Red flags, like you'll have no black people
Not
in the
one.
top of the food chain, like
Not
none.
one.
Not even a diversity and
talking one.
inclusion person is black.
Not
or some
even
person
them.
of color. Like
Not even her.
red flag. Yeah.
And to pull all this together, Just know, don't overlook red flags just because you are scared of being alone. Ignoring red flags because you want to see the good in people will cost you later. Recognize toxic traits, act on them, and have a beautiful life. I leave you with peace, love, and discernment.